disappointment is something we all face. Everybody faces disappointment. I'm sure you have faced disappointment probably within the last 24 to 48 hours. Disappointment in yourself, disappointment in circumstances, disappointment in what's going on in the world, disappointment in someone else. You're surrounded by disappointment. Now, the more those disappointments are happening in an area that you're very concerned about, an area that is an integral part of your life, an area that you're very passionate about, those disappointments can become something very destructive. And one of the worst things that can happen to us is that we lose hope. Hope is a powerful thing when it comes to prolonging and enduring what it takes to achieve the kind of personal changes that we want and achieve the kind of goals that we want out of life. You've got to have hope to stay in the fight. You've got to have hope in order to persevere. You've got to have hope in order to be consistent in the things that you need to do in order to create that kind of life that you want. Well, what's going to war against your hope? It's going to be disappointment. Disappointment. When your expectations are let down. I'm faced with disappointment all the time. It's something I've got to look at daily. But what I'm guarding against is not just disappointment, because that's almost unavoidable. Okay? When something doesn't turn out the way you want it to turn out, that is going to be a disappointment. And I'm not about to pretend or suggest that you pretend that that bad thing never happened. Now, when it comes to dealing with disappointment, it's about not allowing that disappointment to become something else, something far more destructive. And what is that? That is discouragement. Discouragement. There's a big difference between being disappointed and being discouraged. You might be let down, disappointed, but you're still going to stay in the fight. But if you are discouraged, then something has been taken out of you. That fight has been taken out of you. That energy, that passion, that desire gets squelched in you, because that's what discouragement means. It means a loss of confidence, a loss of enthusiasm, and a dispiritedness. Now, that's kind of a weird word, dispiritedness, but that's actually the word that I love about the definition of discouragement. If you are discouraged, you have lost your courage. And courage is what's needed in order to deal with each and every battle of life. You need courage. You need the ability to say, I will move towards this fearlessly because I believe that I'm able. I believe that I'm strong. I believe the resources are there. I believe I can achieve what it is that I want. I believe I can defeat what it is that I want. But if you become discouraged and you lose that confidence in yourself, you lose that confidence in others, you lose that confidence in the principles of the world that govern success and achievement, you become discouraged. Or as again the definition said, dispirited. To lose your spirit, man. Lose your spirit. You ever said that about somebody before when you say, man, it's like they've lost their spirit? You know, they lost their spirit, the love of the game. They've lost their fight. You know, when you go, I'm sure you've been through this when someone that you know and love dies and you go to these wakes and you view that body in the coffin and you recognize that person. It doesn't look like the person who you knew who was alive, but you see that it closely resembles them. Maybe you even touch the body and it seems just like this empty shell. Their spirit is gone. The life is gone. The energy is gone. It's just an empty shell. And if we become discouraged, we can become an empty shell. And that's a terrible way to live. And I'd love to see you avoid that. But the key is to deal with disappointment, because enough disappointments, if they stack up, they will eventually lead to discouragement. And you'll lose that fight. You'll lose that vibrancy. You'll lose that energy. You'll lose that passion. And man, no, that's when you start giving up on life. You may not do something crazy, like take your own life, but you'll do the next thing. You'll just check out on your life. you'll just throw in the towel and give up and say, no more for me, man. I'm putting up the gloves. I'm retiring. I'm not fighting anymore. I've got a TV and a paycheck. I'm just going to exist until they put me in the ground. That's not for you. That is not the life for you. And if you're there right now, if that's where you are, man, then let this video be a challenge to you. Let me provoke your spirit. Let me provoke that fire that is still in you. There's a fire. It's still in you. There's a desire. It's still in you. It just needs to get stirred up a little bit. This is CJ, the Metal Motivator. And remember, in whatever you do, don't suck. Metal up.